right, all right. Uh, Malik and Roy back again to, uh, I don't know, come and invade your living rooms. Yes, sir. But take little shot of my elixir.
What's the elixir?
That's the diabetes formula. I was just diagnosed as a pre-diabetic, and I listened to this guy named Tony on the internet. I know a lot of people go through Dr. Sebi, but
Right.
Tony is a periodic tableist, and he's also a herbalist, and he has a formula that's supposed to cure and heal the pancreas. So I'm trying it. It's not hurting. It's just something I'll try. It's better than taking insulin for the rest of my life, so I'll give something a shot.
Mhm.
It don't bother me that I'm on insulin for the rest of my life, which is probably where I would have had it without that anyway. So just something to try. But anyway, I'm not sure if we meant for this program or mean for this program to be aimed solely at black people. We like to feel like we give a common sense all the way around, and it's just not black people. But I do have an affinity for my people because we just seem to be in such trouble, and that
Right.
that trouble to me is so self-inflicted. We're so busy complaining about stuff like racism that we're not seeing where we are causing our downfall by just complaining about that and making that the source of it all. It's not just that. Yeah, we are in a racial country. When people say the country is racist, the country can't be racist. It's a country. It's the people in the country that are racist, and it's not all of them. It's some of them. And just like in the hood, when you have people out here making noise, doing drugs, selling drugs, shooting and killing one another, that small percentage makes the most noise. And so the small percentage or the percentage of whites who hate blacks, they just make the most noise. And so, that's what I'm just making that point. Um, so America, we are in this country, and yeah, we do go through stuff. But to me, iron sharpens iron. So I just want
Right.
to talk about to me what my point of view is on how God has authored our movement through this country. I mean,
Mhm.
from the slavery, and people say, "Oh God, let us be a slave." Look, there's a lot of things that happened with mankind that mankind did to mankind. All right, and just like when God say, see, everybody talk about he makes man, but he leaves us to our devices. Like I always tell people, people say, I don't see black and white. I only see shades of gray, all this other stuff to try to prove they're not racist. And to me, that's a slap in the face to God. God made the colors to be beautiful. We took them and made them racial. So now we deal with racism in this country. But it's not like God hasn't had his hand on us through this trek, because honestly, if he didn't, we would not have survived it. That's how much it was after us to kill us off. So I just want to say that, but I also want to say that this is just one of those ways I believe that God has always used to, let's say, serendipitously put us in the right place at the right time, even though we might have been in the wrong situation. All right. And so I'm looking at this clip I found some years ago, and it talks about these young black kids in the heart of the violence in their neighborhood, and how God worked a way out for them. And this is how I believe that God works in our lives if we would just stop and listen and stop allowing anger and violence and all the stupidity control us. We would not have survived. I say this and I say it 1,000 times. We would have not have survived the walk through this country, through the years, through the Jim Crow years and everything else, without God having his hand on us in some kind of way. And to me, this generation that we are dealing with now, like right now, I'm 62. Every generation from me on down, 62, 52, 42, 32, all those generations, we may have been too weak to have gotten us through the times that the blacks before us had to go through, survive, and then get us to the point we're at right now. So I'm showing you how God intervened on us to make us, I say, prosper in the wake of what we felt was a multitude of racisms. All right. So this is want to show this video to you. It's 11 minutes long, but if you please watch it. The first and second time I watched it, I actually cried because it hit me at home. Because before I did this, I had a radio program. Now I was talking to the black people in the neighborhood. I had a TV program on the public access channel where I was making DVDs talking to black people on how we can, escape our own bondage, self-inflicted bondage. All right. So this is a video I found. I love it, and I think it speaks volumes to what I'm talking about right now. Malik, we can roll this.
All right. Let's see.
A chaotic scene.
Deadly shooting.
Police in West Philadelphia.
One person was dead.
A man is found shot dead in the street.
Police are still looking for the shooter.
In a West Philadelphia neighborhood called The Bottom, there is little way up.
It's not much here. Killings, violence, drug deals, people, just constantly fighting. No one's happy, It's just it's the bottom of, society.
Growing up, Kareem Rosser feared these streets.
I used to live right here. This is my old house. My younger sisters watched my uncle, get murdered right across the street from here. Some guy just, runs out of this alley here.
This alley here?
Yeah. And then just, open fire.
For Kareem, now 18, the only way up was to get out, to the unlikeliest of places, a world he didn't even know existed, and a game known as the Sport of Kings.
I knew nothing about polo. I mean, maybe the clothing line. I was oblivious to the fact that polo was actual and real sport.
Kareem's journey started here 10 years ago when he was 8 years old. Deep inside of Philadelphia Park, 3 miles away from his house, his 2 older brothers had stumbled on Chamonix Stables. There, Kareem met a woman who was teaching kids like him how to ride horses and play polo for free.
That's it, Kareem, that's 3.
You know what polo is all about. It's a wealthy man's sport. It's very expensive. It's very exclusive. What made you think, yeah, that'll fit my kids in polo?
I didn't think about it. I just did it. I just did it. I didn't really care.
In exchange, the kids had to help around the barn in a program called Work to Ride. To stay, they had to keep their grades above a C. If they slipped, they got tutored. If they cursed, they got soap.
I used to curse a lot when I was younger. Bad words, like F you, F this, I don't want to do this, S, stuff like that. And let's just put soap in my mouth.
But more than discipline, more than routine, the stables came to mean safety, especially for Kareem.
I was thrown onto a pony, and I knew there I was captured. That was my moment that I want to ride horses for the rest of my life, and I don't want to do anything else.
Never was home. During the weekday, they get up in the morning, 7, go to school. From school, they go straight to the horse stable, do their tutoring, do their tours. Then they come home, they go to sleep. This is the same old routine every day. On the weekends, I don't see them at all. As long as I ain't have to worry about them in the streets or something happening to them.
Kareem joined the Work to Ride polo team when he was 9. It was the only African-American polo team in the country, and the only group of low-income inner-city kids to play the club sport.
Hey, you black truck, you gonna crack in your window.
You couldn't help notice how everyone else was looking at us. All the white folks were looking at us. We would start wrestling, start fighting, and just being kids. We're wearing our baggy clothes, and we talk like we're from the streets. A lot of the young Caucasian teenagers would come up and just say, "Hey, what's going on, man? What's up, bro?" Just automatically want to do this, this hip hop talker. And the kids would always ask us, "Hey, you guys got any drugs so we can buy from you?"
Kareem and his teammates relied on hand-me-down equipment, mediocre horses, and no practice facilities.
They weren't very good. They didn't ride very well. They're cantering along, and they're just, and they're almost falling over like a sack of potatoes on top of the horse,
While the kids struggled to earn a place in the polo world, their world and its troubles were never far. One of Kareem's closest friends on the polo team was 14-year-old Mecca Harris.
Mecca was a tomboy, and she was an awesome rider. Could ride any horse, could do anything.
Mom, Mecca, well done!
She picked up Polo like that.
On an October evening in 2003, just hours after Leslie and Kareem brought Mecca home from polo practice, Mecca, her mother, and her mother's boyfriend were shot and killed inside their house, just 5 minutes from where Kareem lived.
It crushed me. That just gave me another reason why I didn't want to be home. I was just afraid of everything. I didn't really want to walk the streets. I didn't want to be outside. I had terrible nightmares. It just scared the crap out of me.
He escaped more often to the stables, to the horses, to polo. Sadly, with the tragedy came opportunity. Kareem took Mecca's starting spot on the team, next to his older brother Jabbar, whose talents were beginning to put the team on the map.
Ooh, nice back flip.
Playing with Jabbar was the best. It was awesome because he was really good. He was popular in the polo community. Everybody wanted Jabbar to come play on their team. He was getting calls from all over the country.
Over the next 2 years, the team started winning. And in 2005, Kareem's brother helped them qualify for their first interscholastic tournament, where the best of the country's 50 junior and high school polo teams compete for the national championship. They lost in the semifinals, and soon after, lost more.
Unfortunately, Jabbar, he decided to take a different path.
What role do you think the streets played?
Played a major role, and I'll be honest, it definitely kept him away from here. At the end of the day, we still got to go back there. You have all these people influencing you to do, all the things, but you really have to be very, mentally strong and say, hey, that's not what I want to do. And for some kids, they can do it, and some they can't.
What came next for Kareem's brother were drug charges and a jail term. What came next for Kareem was taking over Jabbar's spot as team captain.
It just made me wanted to work even harder. That's why I wanted to be out riding 24/7. I wanted to develop my polo skills very fast, and I took every opportunity that was, presented to me. I understood, what those opportunities were going to bring later in life.
Forward, march! Forward, march!
First came a polo scholarship to nearby Valley Forge Military Academy, where he started 8th grade. He continued to play on the Work to Ride team when his little brother Damar and friend Brandon both got starting spots. Over the next few years, the boys got closer and got better.
They're students of the game. They spend hours and hours analyzing tapes, watching the best play and trying to emulate them and put their knowledge base, to work.
By the 2010-2011 season, Kareem's senior year, the team was so good, no other high school team in their region would play them. So they played and beat top college programs such as Cornell, UConn, and Harvard.
We got whipped, simply stated. Very quickly it became apparent that they'd played together a lot, that they knew their strengths and weaknesses, that one would make a little cute shot here that the other would pick up automatically, and our guys would be a second and a half late.
We were playing with a 9th grader and a 10th grader. Playing against 19 and 20-year-old guys who have been playing polo all their lives and who come from polo families. And we're winning.
On March 10, 2011, Kareem and the team made it to Charlottesville, Virginia to compete in the Interscholastic Polo National Championship. Their opponent, Baltimore Polo Club, an historically dominant team.
I couldn't even eat in the morning. My mind was on the game and I was just visioning, just making plays. The ball was bowled in and we went out immediately and scored right away.
The match was intense. Each of the boys fell off their horses for the first time in the same game.
When you get in that moment, nothing really, stops you from taking any type of crazy shot. When your mind's on the game and your mind is on a, national title, you don't care about falling.
Work to Ride was ahead 21-13 going into the 4th and final period. But within 3 minutes, Baltimore scored 4 unanswered goals.
Those moments when you have to stay composed and, as a team captain, you take those guys and bring them to the side. We need to get it together. Stop making these dumb mistakes.
What are you doing?
We came in within 2 goals, And then I think Kareem and his younger brother just made some amazing plays. And the next thing you know, it was back to a 5-goal spread.
I didn't relax until there was a minute to go and we were up by 5, and I just kind of breathed a little bit and just kind of waited for the buzzer to sound.
They had done what had never been done before. The first African American team to win a national polo championship.
We grabbed each other and we hugged, and we just had a huge smile on our face.
It was just a super, super, super great feeling. It was just awesome.
Kareem Anthony Bryant.
3 months after winning the championship in June, Kareem became the first in his family to graduate high school.
That moment, when I walked across the stage, it was, it felt amazing. I saw my mom crying, but I didn't want to look back because I knew I would cry too.
Yeah, I feel that.
I just want to be the example and show everyone that, this is what you need to do, and it's not difficult. You just got to work hard.
This month, Kareem was chosen Interscholastic Polo Player of the Year. He's attending a junior college in upstate New York and has been asked to join the polo team at Ivy League Cornell University next year.
I can honestly say without polo, I really don't know how possible any of it would have been. Polo has led me to do great things and to achieve things that I'd never thought as a young boy that I would be doing.
There you have it.
I see why you crying, man. That was a powerful video.
Very powerful.
Wow.
Anybody watching that and didn't get the understanding of just how God moved in those young men's lives, even when trouble was around him, like when he said his brother got caught up in the drugs and they still came and arrested him, God still had his hand on that situation for them. And,
Right.
and this is what I always done. I wrote a couple of things down. I said, I said they could have easily used the stuff that they were going through in Philadelphia and all that stuff. They could have used that as an excuse, like a lot of our young people do. We talk to a lot of our young people, and they haven't even faced racism like they complain about. You understand that true racism? Like I tell people, my younger brother at 15 was killed out in Chafee, 1985, July 4th. And it was because he was black. There was no other reason. Kevin was not violent. Kevin was the type of kid that, that respected and everything else. But his black skin did not stop him from getting killed. And to me, going through that and going through the racism I went through of going to that all-white school in that all-white suburb my father moved us to. We weren't rich. We were very poor, but he moved us to an all-white suburb. We went to an all-white school, and only but by the grace of God did I come out, because I remember a couple incidents where some grown men, got out of their car to want to do something to me. I was 13 years old. And so I always say that even I hadn't gone through the type of racism the black people before me went through. But the black people after me complain about race so much that it has allowed them to stop it. And they haven't gone through what I went through. And so those kids could have easily used that excuse that they, being from Philly, to fail. Let's see. And I said too, that woman raised some good kids. I know the one kid got caught up in drugs, but you can tell she wasn't one of the mothers out there cussing out everybody and fighting and kicking everybody. She seemed to be laid back and just concerned about her kids and trying to raise her kids with respect. And you can see that come across in the way and how easily, and I won't say easy, I wasn't there, but how easily they conformed to being disciplined, doing their work, and then taking the teaching that woman had to offer. You have to give it to the lady for what she did, but you have to give it to those young people for not allowing just being in that white world to make them quit. At the drop of a hat, the first thing anything racial comes up, the first thing anything they disagree with comes up, they are out the door. And that's the way a lot of our young blacks are today, which is why they lose out. Let's see if I got something else here.
So you're saying the common excuse is the white man holding me back or whatever? That's why I'm not getting nowhere? Is that what you're saying?
I'll tell you something. I have to say that, Malik. And I'm not saying that that's everybody's excuse, but to me, with all the technology that is out there, you would have to have, and I mean this with all the love in my heart, you would have to have raised a retard not to get them smart enough to get through school. You understand? And so to make the excuses that we make to allow our kids to fail and to blame white society, man, that is just doing so much damage. And yeah, our young black people today are using the white people. I remember my nephew telling me, I asked him, I said, how you doing in school? He said, I'm doing all right. I said, what's all right? And he said, I got to, he talked about his grades. I said, bro, what's wrong with you? He said, man, it's the teacher. And I knew it was coming. And I was like, what's wrong with the teacher? He said, the teacher don't like me. Okay, here it comes. Why don't the teacher like me? Because I'm black. And I asked him, I said, is anybody else in your class passing? He said, yeah. I said, then shut up and pass. I'm tired of hearing it because nobody grew up in a more white world than me. You understand? So God has also not just given me a certain kind of thing to say. He's also put me in spots to make me actually know what the heck I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? I remember being at Pioneer Central. That's where I went to Pioneer Central School out there in Arcade, New York, or Yorkshire, Delavan, New York. And I had come back, and I think I may have told this story, but I came back to school, and the teacher put me in that spelling bee. And I went all the way. I mean, it surprised her. I just beat everybody and went all the way to the finals with this girl. And I could see the teachers, kind of standing there, crapping their pants because honestly, my father, we wasn't a good representative of black people. We were dirty. I'm sure we smelled. My father starved us. There was a lot of things going on before we got to the white racism. There's a lot of stuff going on before we got there. And then we had to go there and kind of deal with that. So I won't allow my daughters to give me an excuse as to why failure, is anywhere in their perimeter, So no, I wouldn't allow that. And I don't allow black people to give me the excuse of that either. My friends, when I was coming up, my friends, we were all in the same age group and everything else. And my friends would always use that as an excuse. And I would just always say, man, I'm sorry, but that's crap. It's time for us to stop blaming that when the opportunities have been fought for, regardless of how much harder society may try and make it. The opportunities for us to be somebody and to make it and to live a good life are there.
Right. You just look at our ancestors or whatever that like built a road to where we are today or whatever. And like, to me, that's an embarrassment right now of what we're displaying and stuff like that, because it's a lot harder. They had to find ways around of getting things done or whatever. I mean, like we talked about our last show, we had Black Wall Streets and stuff like that. That didn't come easy though,
No, that didn't come easy. Black Wall Street was destroyed because some Klansmen got mad at the success of that area. And the Klansmen somehow convinced the American government to get involved. And they went and dropped bombs over that little community and blew them up, set them on fire, and marched the black people down the street. But I always tell black people, when I talk about who we are, and I will bring that up, but all that was God showing us today. Now, back then, it was hate at work, okay? But today, it's an example showing us that in June of 1921, we had it going on back then. And if it took racism to destroy it. And if we can do it back then what is our excuse right now? And that's the problem I have with us. That's why this video, that's why all this stuff is so important. Because this next video I want Malik to show you answers the reason why we're failing. Malik, if you can cue that up with the kids, we can get at least a slight answer as to why we have led our kids to a certain type of failure in this country. I also like the way you
Hey guys,
what's off to the side.
I have a knife right there, like a police officer. They get this to jail. Right motherfucking now. Shit. God damn.
What you told her to do? Get out the car, what?
Hey, bitch. I just said, this got Spain, then it's like fighting. Like that, and then I started whooping her ass. And then I was acting like a baby. Shit ain't me, don't play at me, ho. Bitch, I would slap your ass to that motherfucking ground now. Don't play motherfucking crazy now. Shit. God damn. What's wrong with you, ho? Get money.
Get money.
I need money. I get paid every day from my daddy, bitch. Oh,
what you ride on? What you ride on?
Motherfucking deuces. Going on 24.
Oh shit.
And then I said, bitch. Bitch, I dance every day, and I said, bitch, no you don't, bitch. You be funky still, bitch. Bitch, you don't never, babe. You can't dance by yourself, bitch. Bitch, you tell me. And then,
Get it back.
ugly.
No, it's not like
Bitch, fuck you.
Stop, Dre, don't fight.
And then I said, ugly.
What? Man, it's parents' fault. And I try to say that all the time, that the parents, they start that when these kids are little by showing these kids, that nobody can say anything to them. I wish I had that video of that woman going into that classroom and snatching down that pride flag. You know, I want to talk about that probably in the next show, which to me, people don't even understand just how bad that was for the woman, her son, and, you know, just the whole respect factor that our kids need to understand, whether we like it or not, whether we like what someone does or not. There is a respect that we have to have when people have to like give us orders. With me being a supervisor at my job, I don't want to walk into somebody like recently one of the workers got confronted by his boss, and the boss told him that quitting time is 3:30, not 3 o'clock. And the guy says to him, well, you know, and he told him you have to stick around till 3:30. He said, well, I'll stick around if the other people stick around. And see, and that to me, that was the wrong answer, because all that answer was going to do was get him in trouble. And it did get him in trouble. So, so I'm saying we're dealing with a generation that don't seem to have respect. And it's taught through stuff like we were just watching, and it's taught through parents, you know, and so that's the unfortunate thing. But parents can't blame themselves, which is why it's also easy enough to turn around. I'll never forget when this woman asked me, you know, what is it that they can do to, you know, to aid in the cause? And I said, take your homes back. And I mean that. Parents, stop just being stupid. You're not your kids' friends. They will have enough fake friends in their lives as they come along. Believe me when I tell you. I mean, the same friends I had in the 8th grade, I didn't have in the 12th grade. The same friends I had in the 12th grade, I did not have as an adult. And the same friends I had as an adult back then, I do not have right now. Life goes on. But what doesn't go on or move forward is teaching our kids disrespect, the lack of self-respect, trust, honor, and those decent things that they're going to have to try and carry through this doggone world as it is. Bad enough having to watch a parent that can't seem to navigate through it. I don't see how they expect the kids to learn. So that goes from school to a job that these kids have to learn to be respectful. You know. So,
do you think like movies and stuff like that like play a role in the parents acting the way they are?
Yeah,
absolutely. Like they laughing at their kids cursing and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I said before, and I'll say it again, the Bible says the devil is the prince of the air. So there ain't no better way for the devil to get your attention than through TV, radio, and stuff like that, and the buffoonery that comes along with it. Hate to say it, but if rap music back in the 90s, when that gangster rap first started, if that thing was done by white people, aimed at white people, it would have been stopped a long time ago. But because it technically in the beginnings was hurting our community, nobody cared. You know, and so what I'm saying from that is we have to care. It's from this point on, man, we got to care about what comes out of our mouths. We have to care about what we allow our kids to see, all this stuff. You know, from even school, I always tell parents, if you go into school and you have to charge up the teacher, leave your kid in the hallway. Your kids should not see that because it'll just teach them to be the same way. My mother, even though my mother thought I may have been right, she chastised my butt right there in front, and she took my butt home and she gave me what for. And her thing was, it's because I had to come up to the school. It ain't a matter of right and wrong. It's because I had to come up to the school. Okay, so that I understood. There are certain things you have to do to make that understanding. I always said I had 3 female friends that I considered people who did their job with their sons and their daughters, did their job, paid the price too. And I always told people it's a shame that I have to know who they are instead of it being the norm. I'll say, I'll leave it at that, hoping people can understand the necessity of not just raising our kids, but outside people. When it talks about it takes a village, that means when Ice Cube would say something like bust a cap and Snoop Dogg and them Crippin' and all the things they would talk about, when Cardi B and all of them would talk about, the Cho-Cha and all this other stuff.
All right.
They have to think about their children. And what are their children? What do they want their children to hear? It's not the fact that she can afford to send her children to the best school, or they can afford to send their children to the best schools where they don't have to hear that. What they have to do is take into account of the fact that somebody is listening to this and somebody is applying this in their lives, and that we have to understand that not everybody's strong. There are a lot of weak people out here. We want to talk about Trump people. Trump people are no different than anybody else. They have a segment of them that are weak and can't wait to hear, and it's just like us. We can't wait to hear. I always said that Mike Tyson, as much as I love Tyson, I said that the very first moment that Don King came into his life is when things was going to start happening. Even Muhammad Ali said that. He told Larry Holmes that, don't let Don King in your life like that. And so the moment Mike Tyson let him in, Don King with the brother and the soul power stuff, and that seems to be something that we gravitate toward. Just like one of the politicians in Buffalo went down in council chambers and put his fists up. And that's all he felt he owed the black community, because nothing else was getting done. But he proved he was a fight to power person. And so he got in on name recognition instead of on accomplishments. And that's another place we fail. We will talk about that, how we vote with our heart and how we don't vote with our heads.
That's a good one. We vote with our hearts and not with our heads, though.
That's right.
We end up getting messed up in the end or whatever.
Yes, because
it's like a popularity contest.
That's right. What we have found out is that people are people. The Bible says nothing new under the sun. That people are people. The moment black people will get a right, they will find a way to make it wrong. You understand what I'm saying? The moment black people will get a right, it's just like when we were first be allowed to vote our own politicians in. The moment we start getting, the moment we started being able to do that, we start worrying about getting charlatans and people who just was, you know what I'm saying? The pimp politician, the people like that. Like I always talk about Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. I will talk about that at one time. How to me, they were plight pimps. Because you name me one thing that got accomplished while they were anywhere in office. You name me one thing that got signed into law because of Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, and I will shut up. But in the meantime, I'm telling you why they pigeonholed us into this idea of complaining about racism instead of being strong enough to fight it. And this next clip will show you what I'm talking about. Malik, if you want to show that next clip, I call this next clip, What is Power?
What is power?
Yes, sir.
All right.
This is from the TV show, I think it's 42 with Jackie Robinson. But anyway, you go ahead and roll that clip, and then I'll make my point afterwards.
Fill her up.
Yes, sir.
You boys heading out?
Chicago.
Chicago, huh? You boys get around.
Yeah, we sure do.
Hey, you, where are you going?
The toilet.
Hell, come on, boy. You know you can't go in there. Cokes are nickel.
Take that hose out of the tank.
Robinson.
What?
I said take it out. We'll get our 99 gallons of gas someplace else.
All right then. Go on. Go on. Use it.
There we go.
That's all it took, though.
That's all it took. That's all it took. And that's why I tell people, and I will talk on this, but I never, ever liked the Black Lives Matter movement. Never. First off, we couldn't control the hooligans. That's number one. We couldn't control, because we were a racial movement, we had to allow white people in, which is fine. But then we couldn't tell which white people we were getting. The ones who were with us or the ones who were against us. You understand what I'm saying? So once it started to be those ones who were starting the riots by throwing a brick through a window, and once black people start hearing that, then the chaos ensued because of some white nationalist white person who figured he wanted to make this movement look bad. That's how easy it was to make it look bad. I told a friend of mine a long time ago, this was way back then when Black Lives Matter first started, I said, I don't like this organization. Because first off, it's not Martin Luther King's organization. Martin Luther King had nonviolent civil disobedience. He wasn't having it. All right. But number one. Number two, we couldn't control our hooligans. That was number two. Number three, we also couldn't control racist white people coming in because we had to let everybody come in because it was an inclusive organization. To me, I thought like this. Nobody, and I mean no race in this country, spends more money on things that loses its value the moment it leaves the store. That's us. We are the ones who spend the gross national product of other countries, money-wise. We're bad with money, but we spend it and we make a lot of people rich, and they know it. And that's what we should have done. It should have been done silently, but since you can't get word to black people any kind of way without somebody jumping up and saying something stupid, it needed to be said silently. But now it needs to be said out in the open. We need to stop spending our money in this country. I am not saying not buying the necessities. I'm saying to stop buying all the BS we like to buy, like renting and owning a $70,000 car, stuff like this. You know, little babies, 1 year old, about to grow their feet out in a month or two, buying them little $100 Jordans when we still don't know where the next meal is coming from. This way of thinking that we have is why we are pigeon-toed into the things, the ways we go about complaining. You know, this acting like racism is really, really stopping us. When I say, if a person don't want me in his store, guess what? I don't want to be in his store. If a person doesn't want me in their restaurant, guess what? I don't want to be in their restaurant. If a person doesn't want me working for their company, guess what? I don't want to work for your company. Because just like God made their people evil people, because God made everyone, we make choices to be evil. But just like that, there are good people. Always have been, always was. Martin Luther King can attest to that. Good people who marched. And those are the people that when we leave the place that didn't want our money, we go to the places that don't mind and do and don't have a problem with us. That's how we work that. Not complaining and crying. I don't want to be around somebody that don't want me around. This is the stupidity in the way we go about our argument. Stop spending money in this country. That's all you got to do. I'm telling you, this country would have been wondering what in the world was going on. You talk about an economic crisis now, it would have been a full-fledged economic crisis once black people stopped spending their doggone hard-earned dollars on crap to make somebody else happy. In the meantime, complain about how they treat us. Once again, I'm not trying to, I mentioned this to a couple white people, and they got offended because they thought I was saying that in a racial way, but I'm saying that in the same way when women had to march and they burned their bras. I'm saying that in the same breath when Italians call themselves fighting for their respect and honor in this country. I'm saying this in the same respect that the red coats and the blue coats fought in this country to make this country what it was. I'm saying that in the same breath, except I'm saying we will not use violence, because all violence will get us is killed. Honestly, that's been proven by stuff like the MOVE organization, Black Wall Street, all that stuff, that if it's all said and done, like black people talk about, just give us 3 states and we'll have our own country. Yeah, some places that can be blown straight off the map and 90% of us gone with it. No, I pretty much prefer us being scattered about this country. That way one bullet don't kill our race. We think stupid. We got to think where stuff is long term. I'll tell you what it's like. I was in union negotiations, and I was the only person who thought like I did. I was also the only black person on that panel. All the white guys there, the same old usual trickery and all this other stuff. And, you know, I was just different. I thought about us fighting for what it is we felt we were worth, going about that a certain kind of way, making the administration sit down and listen to us talk, understand where we were coming from. You know, it's just a certain kind of weakness that's in people that make them fight for typical stuff. That typical stuff is there. They were almost ready to give you all that, but it's those things that they didn't think. Like when I told my the executive administrator across the table, I said they were going to give us a back pay check, and I told him, I said, let's negotiate the back pay check, and he said, what? He slammed his briefcase down like, let's talk now. In the meantime, all the other people had gotten up from the table and left. And I said, listen, you're expecting to give us in the range of like $30,000, right? He said, yes. I said, okay, how about we take that in percentages? Like for the next 5 years, it's like a 5 or 6 year percentage rate. All the white guys thought I was crazy. Are you effing kidding me? Blah, blah, blah. You know, $30,000. You know what happened with that $30,000? Not a person except me, because I bought rental property with mine. But there's not a person that has anything to show for it. It was money that came in and out. But you put that money in the right place, then it does things for you. My thing was, if you get the money in percentages, guess what? It lasts forever. That $30,000 check lasts one time. They give it to you, you cash it. You know, and after they tax it, it's not even what they say. But you cash it. You either put it in the bank and pick off it slowly where it's nothing, you know, or you did what I did, buy a piece of rental property, or you get it over the years in percentages where it's forever. For the rest of your life, you're getting that money. And that's what I thought was smart, but they didn't. That just goes to show you there's weak thinking in everyone, but it always takes somebody. And so I'm just one person. And I always tell people that I'm one person, but I'm telling you right now that the percentages are better. Us understanding the value of our dollar in this country is the best thing we can do. I'm gonna give you a real quick story on this, real quick. I went to this place, a store, a big store where all the community go, different stores inside of a store. And I used to go to this one particular stand and buy my meats. And one day I went and bought a rib, and I brought the rib home. And the next day I opened the bag and the rib was rancid. So I threw it in the garbage. I went back the next day. The next time I went to that place, I walked past that stand and went to the other stand and bought my food and then walked out the door. I did that the next 3 times. The people at the first stand, because I was always there with self-respect, never screaming, never yelling and loud and all that other mess, I went there, ordered my food, paid for my stuff, and I left. I'm watching all the other people act as ghetto as could be. It drove me crazy. But anyway, they called me over because they recognized me. And they said, can we ask you why you started going to the other store instead of coming to us? I said, you sold me bad meat. They said, well, why didn't you bring it back? I said, because you sold me bad meat. My thing was, if you sold me bad meat, then you're not paying attention and you don't really care. You know, you check meat. You put meat in the freezer. You put meat out. You smell it. Make sure it's good. You know, so you guys didn't, so I went someplace else. If they would have done the same thing, sold me some bad meat, I would have went elsewhere. I'm going to let my money speak for me. I earned this money. I'm just going to do the right thing by me. The next week I came there, those people had new freezers, new refrigerators. The whole area was clean. All the glass was cleaned and wiped down. The place looked brand new. I'm one person. One person. I did it with respect, self-respect, but that's my money. And if I'm spending my money, I'm taking it where I want to take it. And it caught their attention enough for one person to have made that much of a difference. One person. I'm one.
Respect your money.
That's right. That's right. Respect where you send it. That thing speaks a multitude to a lot of people that need it. They want your money. They will find a way to treat you right. It's unfortunate to have to say, but it's the truth. You know, that's where we are to me. That's how we win battles, you know, along with, you know, straightening out our own mess in our communities. I bought my new house down here. Everybody asked me, why down here? You could have bought your house anywhere. I said, because I love my people. I love my people. And I don't believe in moving away from them when I know I got to talk to us. That's the way I look at it. I look like I got something to offer and free. I'm not that minister that's charging, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars to stand up in this pulpit and preach. I'm preaching to you right now, and it's absolutely free. And now you will never, ever in your life find me asking you for a dime to do anything. I do this because I love us. I take the chance of saying the right thing because I love us. You know, it's like pulling behind a car in the neighborhood, and a car in the hood that's sitting there in the middle of the street kicking it with their boy or their girl, and they won't let you around. You got one of two choices: blow your horn a few times and get into trouble, because that's what we like to do. We can't wait until one of us, our own folk, one of us say something so we can start some mess, pull out a gun, whatever the case is. We got to stop that. We got to love us more than that. Teach us to love us, then we'll love things we're going about. Then we'll love ourselves enough to know I'm not gonna beg anybody to like me. I'm not gonna beg anybody to respect me. I'm not begging for that. I'm not begging to be liked. All I want is to go on about my business. I believe in Christ. I take that problem elsewhere. I don't try to rub people's nose in my beliefs or make people believe what I believe. My thing is individual. And that's why I believe in Christ. It has nothing to do with what I was told by anybody. It's what I discovered by myself about God, which I know is 100% true. So I always tell people, I was pronounced dead at the age of 4. All right. And the doctor brought me out, laid me out, told my family, everybody come in there and say goodbyes. He's deceased, you know? So everybody was crying. Everybody around the table was crying. My grandfather stopped crying because he said, everybody stop crying. The Lord just told me everything's going to be all right. Now, I was already pronounced dead, and here I am. Now, I always tell people that wasn't for me because I was too young to understand it. That was for my parents and my grandparents. God does things for a reason. You know, I come to learn God fully for myself at the age of 11. Fully for myself at the age of 11, where nobody could tell me he didn't exist. So that's why I talk from the basis of God, and that's why you will never find me charging anybody for this. This word is free, but it's expensive. It's expensive because it's the most beautiful thing to get, wisdom. It's the most beautiful thing to get. The Bible says if you just want it, just ask for it. But wisdom is a beautiful thing, the most beautiful thing to get, but it's also the curse of a lifetime because people get mad at you. But you want that wisdom. You want the move of God in your life. You know, it's the most beautiful thing to have because it when you can't see around that corner, he can. So that's why I draw from my wisdom, and that's why I draw from my understanding. I'm not schooled to know the stuff I know. I know this through life and through watching and through using the common sense and discernment that God gave me. That's why I come to the conclusions I come to. And this is why I believe that my movement to talk to us makes us a biblical people in the eyes of Christ. I always said that we are a chosen people by God. Not in the way a lot of people want to write, like with the Jews and all this other stuff. I think we're one of the 12 tribes of Israel or something. Honestly, I think that, you know, God has his hand on us like that. We need to recognize that. That's also why we're so messed up. God said to whom much is given, much is required. We didn't know what that was because we felt like we were the downtrodden, but we were the ones that God gave a blessing to. We control too much about life. We control social media. We control social movement. We control a lot of things that bring a lot of money to a lot of people, and that's not by fault, by coincidence. That's by God's blessing on our lives. We are chosen people to make it through this country, and when we start doing things right, as far as I'm concerned, when we start doing things right, raising our kids, to me, that's the science project that God gave us to see if we understand his word, see how we raise our kids. We raise our kids right, we understand God's word. I mean that because we got so many people not raising them right, but that's what that means. If we raise our kids in the way God tells us to, they will come, more than likely, they will come out right. And then we understand God's word. That's what God gave us. That's why I believe we're one of his chosen people. He has his hand on us, and we got to do right. And so he put me, people like me, and sprinkle them around the world. There's a bunch of people like me, but we're few and far between because we're in places. But it's our job to talk to us because I love us, and I believe that's what we need to understand about ourselves. We are special people in this country. Whether we like to understand that or believe it or not, we are. And because of that, there's a lot asked of us by God. We have to turn the other cheek in some senses, in the sense of there are ways you have to understand that we are going to have to turn the other cheek. The stuff we complain about, racial stuff, no, let them have that. I'm walking away from that because, listen, you can't legislate hate. Hate is God's problem. He's the one that's going to fix that. It's our job to walk around it. We know we're blessed. Keep stepping. When we get that understanding, man, this country, I always tell people, the country don't fear a black man carrying a gun. We breaking our neck getting gun permits. The country fears a black man carrying a book. That's what they fear. Be smarter. Teach our kids to be smarter. School is the first step. Stop teaching our kids it's a white man's thing. It's not. Math and history and all that stuff, it's necessary to know that. It's necessary to know the history they teach so you'll not understand the history we're supposed to know. It's your job. We talk about Black History Month. And see, I'm going off in the places I want to go off into later, but I want to say this right quick. I don't like Black History Month because we're supposed to be teaching our kids Black history. Every day we sit at the dinner table, cook a meal, and eat with them. Tell them why it's important for them to do well in school. Tell them why it's important for them to respect one another, respect what we do as people, respect adults, respect what's being told them, respect the wisdom that's being passed on to them. That's why we got an ignorance that's saying, man, shoot, if I had been a slave, man, I would have told master he could kiss my. No, you wouldn't have told master anything. Believe me when I tell you, it took a strong Black people to make it through all the stuff they made it through for us to exist today. And it was all because of God, regardless of what they're saying. All because of Christ. Huey Newton didn't get a law signed in. He got shot. Black Panthers, as much as we love them carrying their guns, they got shot. It was proven you are not going to win the war. Not that one. Not going to win it. We got to understand God's purpose for us in this country. And I believe personally, I believe that he sends his wisdom, some of his wisdom through me to talk about. Because, you know, half the stuff I don't know what I'm talking about. I was on the radio one day and the guy was recording my radio shows and he used to give them to me at the end of the radio. And I would go out there and put them in my car and listen to them. And I kept saying to myself, I said that. And see, that's when I know, man, I'm not smart enough to say the stuff I say. It has to be a blessing. That's the way I look at it. All right. So
and do you think that you speaking out loud about the wrongs, even the rights we do, put a target on your back from even friends and family?
Throughout my life, because I've been talking about this for so long, it did put a target on my back in terms, listen, man, it's funny you say that, boy. I'll tell you, Malik, man, but yeah, you're 100% right. I live on the street I live on, which is directly 3 blocks over from where my grandfather owned 5 houses in a row. I lived in the exact same spot on that street that I live in right now. But I moved off that street because my family turned on me. Because I started telling the truth about everything. And my family did not want to hear it. And they I'm on a street where nobody in my family was talking to me. I don't mean my brothers. My brothers, man, I love my brothers and my mama. I'm talking about my family, my grandparents and my grandparents' kids and their kids and all that stuff. They stopped speaking to me. Everybody stopped speaking. So I left. And yeah, my friends, yeah, they got mad at me. They got mad at me initially on what I was saying, but just like one of my friends told me, you know what, Roy? I 100% agree with everything you've always said now. I didn't understand you. Yeah, I used to be pissed at you. You know, to me, you was, people accuse me of being Uncle Tom, blah, blah, blah. How am I an Uncle Tom when I want us to be the strong people we're supposed to be? How am I a sellout? I know what we're supposed to be. I know what we're capable of. And so I talk about that. How is that a sellout? And so people, my friends are coming around now saying, man, damn, you were right, bro. You were right about everything you were saying. And I'm talking about 10, 15, 20, 25 years ago. I had my TV show, my radio show, my disc. I hand out this disc called Black People, What Are We Thinking? I put it in a wagon, and me and my kids pulled it around Juneteenth and handed it out to everybody. They thought I was 50 Cent. they came and started taking them. They thought music was on them. What was on them is me chastising the hell out of us, telling us just how wrong we are. Black people, what are we thinking? Why are we failing? Why are our kids failing school? How is that even possible that a race of people so smart that our kids are failing life before life begins? It's our fault.
So it's just like that race, though. You got the turtle, you got the rabbit, and you did the slow walk while friends and family did that fast walk, though.
Oh my goodness, man! That analogy is so right. You know, I tell people, I said, you know, if you could take something like the tortoise and the hare, used to be a cartoon. You know, you watch the turtle, he's doing also, and the rabbit so fast, he able to stop off and have dinner at places. You know, that's how fast he was. But that's the difference between that drug life a lot of my friends chose, that quick money life, and me walking through life slow, getting a job, getting a pension plan, all that stuff, retirement, medical coverage, all this stuff I got for walking slow. All of my friends got that fast money, that drug money, and that was that quick thing that led them to quick demise. And those that are still alive, brother, bums. When I say bums, I'm talking about, man, broke. It's bad. It's bad to see. You know, they have nothing, they have no job, they have nothing, no means of nothing, and they're in their 50s and 60s. They got nothing. And I show for. Yes, sir, man. That's the most amazing analogy to use, but you are absolutely right. It's the tortoise and the hare. We want it fast, but slow is the best way. Get our kids 4 years of college. You got a dude sitting on his porch selling drugs. He can make $1 million in a year. You're going to do 4 years of college. Yours is going to be forever. The cops know who he is. Eventually, that cop is going to come. They're going to roll up on him. They're going to bust him. And if that don't happen, you know what else happens? If the cop don't get you, you know what else gets you? Surely, surely, you shall reap what you sow. That's what the Bible says. You may be the best person in the neighborhood, man. Buy stuff for everybody, but you are selling poison to people with families. You may not think you're culpable in that, but you are. So we got to watch our walk in this country. Got to watch what we do in this country. And all eyes are on us. Yeah, like my friends say, man, white people steal too. Yeah, but we the one get blamed for all of the we the ones that all of our whole race get blamed for the one thief. We all get blamed for it. So we need to take into account that we are held responsible for everything one of us does. That's the truth. Yes, sir, Malik. Very, very true, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very true. Yep. So yeah, man, we gotta spend our money right, raise our kids right. That's really the crux of what's going on with this story today. And when we raise our kids right, we can go right back to that very first story. We leave doors open for God to come in and bless our movement. God bless those kids' movement. He didn't know in the 6th and 5th grade, he didn't know where he was going. This young man discovered polo, of all things. That's the whitest of white sports. But look what he did. He's a black man, and why I bet he was called Uncle Tom by the people in his neighborhood. You understand? Black people hate black success. I don't care what black people say. We hate each other's success.
We are jealous. We are jealous people, though. I gotta say, though.
Yes, very jealous of our own things. We can't do nothing ourselves. We get jealous of it. But what that young man did, that's remarkable, bro. That's remarkable. That's a story. You better believe it.
Yeah, I never seen that video or even knew what polo was like 5 years ago or whatever. That's crazy.
Yep, I'm telling you, I love that story. I keep that story. I downloaded that years ago, but I keep every story that I think is very important to make my point. Like I said, every show we do here, I'm going to have a video showing what I mean by our point. It's going to be very explained how I am absolutely not wrong in what I'm saying. I'm not asking anybody for anything. I'm not taking a collection. I don't want you donating to my Patreon. None of that stuff. I'm telling you what I want you to know because I believe that we need to know this. This is what's going to help us move through, navigate through this mess that we're failing so badly, so miserably. Man alive. Yeah, we're failing. Yeah. But Hey man, appreciate the show. How long was this joint?
Almost about to hit an hour.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's what we plan to do. I told you, man, I can take two subjects and we can talk about this stuff because there's plenty of stuff to talk about, man. Plenty of stuff for us to talk about.
Yeah, we pretty much hit all the points today.
Yes, sir.
That was beautiful. That was
Yes,
beautiful.
sir, man. Yes, sir, Malik. So anyway, I got some one of these days I got a song I wrote called "We Really Need Peace," and I'd like for that to be played at least one time on this show.
Oh yeah,
because I believe it was just I used it at the end of my television program that I had. I used that at the end when I showed all the murders and homicide. I had a scrolling of all the homicides from 2013 up to now. You know, all
that would be great. That would be great.
Yes, sir. The murders in our neighborhood. How many of us killing us for nothing, for absolutely nothing?
Stepping on shoes and just looking at you wrong, you know?
Yes, sir. I mean, yeah, man, we don't like us.
Right.
We quick to screw face each other. Man, we got to wake up from that. That's not good at all, man. Not good at all. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Malik. So appreciate, man, this Saturday. Well, I'm hoping people watch this. This is some very important stuff, and it'll get us where we need to get. We're starting another school year, and honestly, I'm tired of watching us fail. I work for the school district. I see how many of us fail, and they're not giving you the numbers right. They're telling you that 60-65% of our kids are passing. No, 60-65% of our kids are being pushed through. 25% of our kids are passing.
Passing and getting pushed through is a big difference.
A big difference.
Because when they hit that 18 and get out on the railroad,
right? You can't fill out because you can't spell or can't read. You don't understand basic common sense. 25%. I always tell people that's why we know the system is working, because 25% of our kids can read on their grade level, are taking advantage of Say Yes and going to college and doing great things. So the system does work, but we got to shut up. We got to teach our kids to shut up and pay attention. These are their lives we're helping them ruin. Their lives. Man, somebody got to think that there's an urgency to this. We can't keep being like this. We owe it to them to put them on the right track so that they can have a damn life, bro. Man. Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Here's to hoping that, somebody watch this and we get something out of it.
But y'all be able to check out the show on the KeepItRealNetwork.com. You can also go check out the many clips on What Are We Thinking TikTok and the YouTube, the What Are We Thinking show. You'll be able to check those many clips up. But that is today's show.
Yes, sir.
We'll catch y'all later.
Yes, sir.